Hi and welcome to the Guy Who Sews channel. Today I am going to show you how to make a drawstring project bag for either knitting or crocheting, although these can be used for so many other different purposes. It is quick and easy and should only take about 30 to 45 minutes to put together once you get started. So let's go ahead and show you how to get it done. Your fabric requirements are going to be slightly different depending on which size you choose. I'm demonstrating the small, which is great for a sock size project like this, but if you want to make the medium or the larger version, I'm going to put those fabric requirements in the description as well. So for the small, you're going to need 2 pieces for your exterior fabric, going to be 10.5 inches wide and then 12 inches high. And then you also cut out 2.5-inch squares here because this is going to form the floor or the base of your bag. And then for the interior, it's going to be the same width, 10.5 inches wide, but you're only going to make it 11 inches high, so it's going to be 1 inch shorter than the exterior. And then you're going to need 2 pieces of paracord, which are going to be 26 inches long each. And so I've already cut those out. So let's go ahead and get started with the sewing. So the first thing we're going to do is a 1/2 inch seam allowance, which is, yes, unusual for most things, down the sides, this side and the other side of the interior piece of fabric. So let's go ahead and do that. Now we're going to change our seam allowance to a 1/4 inch, which is our normal seam allowance, and we're going to sew along the bottom of the interior. So now we have both sides and the bottom of the interior done. Next we're going to form the bottom of the bag. So let me see if I can do this so you can see. You got to pull out where you've made the 2.5-inch cut and fold it together so that way together. So it should look like this. And then you got to sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance down here and do that on both sides. Now your interior of the bag should be completely done, and this is how it looks. And so now we're going to set this aside and we'll go ahead and do the exterior of the bag. It'll be very similar, but it's going to be just a couple more steps. So now it is time to get the exterior started, and the first step is to fold over the exterior about a 1/4 inch from the top along the entirety of the top. I usually eyeball. If you want to go ahead and pin it or measure it out, you can. If it's not perfect, don't worry, because we are going to fold it over again later on. So as long as it's close, you got to be good enough, and go ahead and sew along about a 1/4 inch seam allowance on that as well. So your top now should look, on the wrong side, look a little bit like this. The next step we're going to do is put the right sides together of the both exteriors, and we're just going to clear off this excess thread real quick. Right sides together, and then what we're going to do is sew down the sides, but we want to leave a 2.5-inch gap at the top. So what I do is I measure out 2.5 inches, I backstitch 1 or 2, and then go all the way down, and do that on both sides. You should see it sewn down the side of our 2.5-inch gap at the top, which we'll take care of later. So now go ahead and change your seam allowance back to a 1/4 inch, and we're going to do the bottom along the bottom here, and then the same thing here like we did on the interior. We have the sides and the bottom of the bag made. We just got one more step to do on the exterior fabric, and so what we're going to do now is we're going to fold over each of these over 1/2 inch, and I measure it, and then I usually put a clip on just to hold it tight, and the same thing on the other side. And then what we're going to do now is you want to pull these seams out just a little bit so it looks nice like that. you got to sew down this side, and then when I get down to the bottom here and go across, I use a wide zigzag stitch, but you can use something else that you want just to try and hold it nice and tight. When I do my zigzag stitch across here, I use a very wide stitch and then I use a very short stitch length. So this way it kind of holds everything together from when you're opening and closing the drawstring all these times. Now that you've zigzagged across, you can come straight up the edge here, and then we've got to repeat the process on the other side. And now the exterior of your bag is done as well. So now we're going to go ahead and put the interior section of the bag inside, sew it all together, and then we're just about done. So we're almost at the finish line. So grab your interior of the bag and put it inside the exterior. And then you got to get the seams that you sewed here, pull them out like so, and then get where the exterior part where we did this earlier and fold it over like so, and do the same on the other side, and then grab a clip and clip it together, and we'll spin them around. That's how it's going to look. And what we're going to do is we're going to zigzag over this, but we'll show you that in just a second. So do the same thing on the other side. Is you got to zigzag these two seams together. So I use a very wide, just like we did earlier, very wide stitch and very narrow stitch length down to make sure this sticks together really well. So there's 3 more steps and we're all done. So now what we're going to do is we're going to flip the bag. So now that your interior fabric is going to be showing on the outside, it's just inside out. And then what we got to do next is just sew this to the interior. So I usually do about 1/4 to 1/2 inch. I don't really measure it that well, but just go all the way around the top until this is all sewn down. Now the top is connected to the outside and the inside are connected here all the way around the top. So now what you got to do is flip them around, so that way the outside's on the outside once again. And we're going to sew all the way around about 2.5 inches from the top, all the way around, so that way the drawstring has somewhere to live. And then with my sewing machine, what I normally do is I just go to this edge here, because that's right about 2.5 inches for me. And so I'll start at one of the holes where the drawstring's going to go in, line it up with this predetermined mark that I use, and then it's going to go all the way around. Now all the sewing for your bag is done. The only step we have left now to do is grab our drawstring and put it in, and that'll be it. So grab one of your pieces of drawstring and use the biggest safety pin you can find. All my big ones have gone walkabout, so I'm going to use one of the smaller ones, which will work, but the bigger ones do tend to make it a little easier. There are products on the market as well that are designed specifically for this, but I find the safety pin works pretty well. And so you got to enter in one of the holes here, and then you just got to feed it through all the way around. Safety pin to come in handy. Okay, so you can see the string's gone all the way around. It's come out the same hole that it went in. You got to take your safety pin out, and then I just fold a simple knot fairly close, just like what they call a granny knot, fairly close to the end. Pull it nice and tight, and then if you have any excess cording like this, just cut it. And then grab your flame and seal it shut. See, it'll let me play a fire on these things. And then you just got to repeat the process on the other side. And so now your bag is complete. You've got the drawstring in, it opens and shuts, and it is great for your next project or for so many other uses. So thank you for joining me on this tutorial. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, please consider hitting the like button and sharing with a friend so our channel can grow. And definitely leave a comment. I always love hearing from you guys, and I read and respond to every comment, whether you comment the day it posts or even weeks or months later. So I hope you all have a great day, happy sewing, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye.